But why don't we move on in to Nashville versus Chicago, which I will take up because I'm big up on Chicago, as we mentioned in the predictions video. I am all in on Robert Beric and Chicago. Nashville looking to pick up after a really promising start, in my opinion, not by their results. They still have 0 points, but their performances for an expansion team has been something I've been relatively happy with, right? They held their own against Atlanta, and they're actually, they didn't do so great in their second game. But from the games that I've watched and the clips that I've seen, they are not awful. They just need to put the pieces together to me. And Chicago are going to try and get their big hitters going after only picking up 1 point from their first 2 games. But they've got all those pieces, right? As we mentioned, they started putting those pieces in the right places and getting them together. They just got to get them working together. And I think this tournament is going to be really good for them because everybody's on the same spot, right? It's not like you've got a Red Bull or an Atlanta where you're playing a team that has replaced 1 or 2 players while you've got 8 or 9 new players in a spot. Everybody's basically starting from ground zero again. So I think it'll be really good for Chicago. For me in Nashville, the first 2 big names that I'm watching, of course, are Dax and Walker. Dax is the face. Both of them are the face of the team. Dax is the heart of the midfield. Walker controls that back line. Both of them need to show up big. This is a tournament they need to set the tone at. You're here for 3 games, really. If you don't perform in 2 of those 3 games, you're gone. So you need to show up big, and it needs to start from your big faces, your big captains. The last one for me is whoever's going to play up top, whether it be Baji, whether it be Akam, whether it be Dunladi, whoever is playing there needs to get going. They've had 1 goal in 2 games from a center back. That's unacceptable. You need to get better up top. You need to figure out what's going on. You need to put the ball in the back of the net. Those are the 3 people, whether you want to count that forward spot as one spot for me that I'm watching for Nashville. And on the other end, I'm going to watch Robert Beric, as I mentioned before. I compared him to Nemanja Nikolic when we were on Sacktown FC's podcast talking about Chicago, and I stand by that, man. The way that he plays is very Nemanja Nikolic-like. 1 goal in 2 games, but he needs to produce in this 3-game window. You need to put the ball away. Gaston Jimenez, my second. I think he's going to play in the number 10 right now until they've signed a few players, but I don't know if they're ready. So I think he's the one kind of pulling the strings. They had Georgi Mihailovic playing there last year, and he was okay, not great. So I think he is the guy who's going to have to start really doing that. And then the last person I'm going to go with is Aliseda. They signed this new Argentinian winger, basically to replace straight up Nico Gaitan. And he's got to be the guy to do it. Frankowski is good on one side, but they really never had somebody on the other side to balance out once Gaitan left. So he's got to step in and fill that gap and start creating chances for Beric and get Gaston the ball. And like I said, they've got a lot of pieces to be half decent. They just got to put them together. To me, I got to give this one to Chicago here. Anything can happen, but I just don't trust Nashville's attackers right now. I haven't seen them score yet, and I'm not going to put faith in anybody who hasn't finished a ball yet. 2-0 Chicago.
Fair. Worst comes to worst, if Nashville get knocked out, Dax can go in the NFL. I don't know if you guys saw the video from his hotel room.
Oh, when he was trying to throw it into the garbage can. Yeah.